to the Purple People podcast. It is the Kyle show. Again, you're welcome.
Or I'm sorry, depending on if you like us or not.
Things usually go off the rails when it's both of us, but I enjoy it because there's just a level of authenticity that you can't really fake. I'm not saying that Dorian or Adam are fake. We're not saying that at all, but it's just one of those,
We collectively, hey, you and me collectively have no filter. That's what you're going for, right?
Yeah, I thought the first thing I think it was music because I love music, and I think about you go see a show and you got the full bells and whistles, but then you catch a guy at like a random bar and he sings and just him and his guitar, and you're like, man, that was really raw. Welcome to the show. We're gonna be super just everywhere. Oh wow, we got people in the chat already. I'm gonna get you guys in here. We're gonna try a screen share later. And we're just going to go all over the place. The format for this show, this is episode number 364, Diggs in a Blanket.
That's the name of the show?
Yeah, that's the name of the show.
I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was looking for something. Obviously, if you haven't heard by now and you've been living under a rock, there's some rumors about Stefon Diggs kind of wanting out of the Vikings, maybe possibly New England being a landing spot. We're going to dive into that, but not right off the top of the show. We're going to review that terrible Bears game. And I'm just going to tell you guys first and foremost, I respect everyone who sends a message to the show on Facebook or any other platform, and we will try our best to cater for you and around you. But we're going to get heated tonight. There's going to be some language. So just up front, I want you to know that. We're not saying it because we don't care that people on the show might get upset about it. We just want to let you know ahead of time if some stuff slips or there's more than usual. I know that wasn't a big thing that everybody liked last time, but it may happen. This show's about to get bad. just like Kyle said at the beginning. So Kyle didn't want to talk too much about the Bears game, and neither did I. So I'm just going to recap it like super duper quick. If you watched that game, it was a nightmare. Dalvin Cook couldn't get on the ground much. He only had 35 yards rushing, 35 yards in the passing game. Mitch Trubisky went out early. Akeem Hicks wasn't playing. Taylor Gabriel wasn't playing. Everything was set up for us to win, and we pissed the bed and rolled around in it. It was terrible. Kirk Cousins was missing wide open throws. Now the O-line didn't do him any favors. I will say that as a caveat. He got sacked 6 times. But long story short, we lost in Soldier Field 16-6. We got beat by Chase freaking Daniel, and I think this is the first show. I'm not going to worry about a game ball and a donkey. Everybody. We were so
I don't
chat. We didn't want to do it. So
yeah, I don't. This might be the first time we've foregone a game ball and a donkey. I don't think we've ever not done one before. We were joking before the show. We were like, that game ticked me off so bad that I pulled my Kurt Warner jersey out of my closet and was like, why the Cardinals jersey? I was like, I'm going to wear my Kurt Warner jersey because the Vikings played so poorly, they made me that mad that I don't want to wear Vikings gear right now. So I'm like, I will wear Kurt Warner. I'm from Iowa. I will represent Kurt Warner proudly as well, too.
Yeah. And what's great about the show? I was a fan of the show before I was so graciously invited to be on the show and host. And one of the hosts. Now, I'm not the host. I'm just going to tell you that right now. One of the hosts. So I got invited to be a part of the group, and I was super excited. And I've been here ever since, for 5+ years, whatever it's been. But we've evolved from being just this tunnel vision show. If we only talk about the Vikings, we can talk about everything else, but be Viking-centric. And I think it's cool that you have a Kurt Warner jersey because we are all 4 from different places. So I think it's pretty cool, man. I'm not going to lie. Sean, right here, right now. You get a donkey. It's Oprah's giving out donkeys this week. Yes.
You get a donkey, and you get a donkey. Donkeys are half price. We all get half price donkeys right now.
Sean, I'm just going to tell you, man, you guys hit the underlying theme. I'm going to do my best not to just rain down hatred, but I think everything was piss poor in this game, from coaching to quarterback play to O-line play to everything. I think the only bright spot I had here was Stefon Diggs was going to get my game ball. He had a 100-yard game. Nobody got a touchdown because we only scored a rushing touchdown from Dalvin Cook. But It's pretty bad. Kirk Cousins fumbled a lot again. There was only one sack on our end. There were 6 for the Bears. It was just an all-around day where everything went wrong for us. So that's going to be my recap of the Bears game. It was something to forget very quickly.
I say this every time we play Chicago. Do you know how much I hate John Gruden for sending Khalil Mack to our division? Like, I hate you for trading Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears, you dick. Vikings Eagles rematch NFC Championship. Well, the way we're playing, we're not going that direction.
There you go. I just typed that. I'm coming live from the podcast comment section here. Now we're pretty weak up front and we're one-dimensional. You know, the one thing that I see, and maybe you'll agree with this, man. I know Adam would give a lot of insight to this. I watched the Eagles play in Green Bay, and I just saw a team that wasn't as talented come into one of the most classic and hard stadiums ever, and they just outplayed the Packers, even though the Packers were the better team. There's something about being physical at the line of scrimmage as an O-line and a D-line of just dominating people. I mean, if you watch the game Sunday, whatever the Bears were doing to us, that was it. We just don't really have that. And I'll just say it right now going forward as we start to dive into the Stefon Diggs stuff is there's been a lot of good things that Zimmer has brought to the team, but I feel like we've just been shopping around in the discount bin at Walmart for quarterbacks and for the O-line, minus Garrett Bradbury. He's been the only good offensive lineman we've drafted in the first round recently. Pat Elflein's still questionable. He's hit or miss, but he's been okay. But I feel like it's been bargain shopping for really important needs, you know? I don't know how you guys feel, but it's starting to glare, and it's starting to be a repetitive process of patchwork O-line and go grab a free agent somewhere instead of, hey, man, let's go find a Carson Wentz and keep him for 10 years. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Ryan, I'm totally with you, man. This is going to be interesting. We're going to dive straight into this. I just want to talk about the Stefon Diggs stuff first.
Yeah, let's talk about Diggs, who was not at Trash Pass Duty. Yeah, he was not at practice on Wednesday, and this was fueled some speculation. Excuse me, that he is unhappy. I have to.
Oh, it's okay. Kyle's got a frog in his throat at the moment. We'll get back to him in just a second. Let him get some water and some air in there. So to recap a little bit on that, Stefon Diggs had a game, and it was because Kirk Cousins took like 1 or 2 shots. Other than that, he was checked down Charlie all night. And after the game, Adam Thielen was pretty pissed. He mentioned that, you know, even if you have the best running back in the league, you can't run the ball for 180 yards every game. At some point, you have to open it up and you have to hit the deep ball. Now, there was a deep ball attempt to Adam Thielen, but I don't know if it was a miscommunication between Adam and Kirk. Adam was jammed on the route or whatever. I don't know if Kirk overthrew. I have no idea. But that sparked a Kirk Cousins apology tour, which is
right.
Man, I think that's stupid. I don't think that he needs to fire back and they need to have an argument, you know, via interview. But I just don't think it's something that needs to be said. Kirk is way too apologetic, and I've heard this story 110,000 times. Vikings fans probably don't believe it at this point. But to get back to it, that sparked a lot of Adam Thielen's the best player I've ever played with. He's the best wide receiver, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Stefon Diggs is kind of sitting in the loop like, did I not just have a 100-yard game with you? So we can dive into that. If you guys don't see it in the comments section, if you guys would leave something in the comments section, rather, I don't know if that's petty on Stefon Diggs' part or if it's warranted and justified. I'm leaning towards the side of it's pretty warranted and justified. What do you think, man?
It's a little, I mean, like, players should know in these interviews, like when you're asked specifically, like as a quarterback, you're asked specifically to comment on Adam Thielen, that you always try to build up your teammates. And so I do think that Diggs is being a little bit of a diva if that is an issue. On the other hand, if it wasn't, like, this is all shit that should be hashed out in the locker room. And the fact that this is going through various social media channels and Twitter and all these other sources like that, I'm not a big fan of that. it feels like we're at the beginning of a divide in the locker room right
Yep.
now. Do you feel that way too? Because I feel like we're at the
It's
beginning of a
about to
crack.
come on. It's one of two ways. This is the most generic and cold take you'll ever hear me say, but we're either gonna fix this shit and go on an epic run somehow and figure it out, or this shit is gonna fall off the hinges. And I'm leaning towards it's about to fall off the freaking hinges.
Well, that was my prediction before the season started. I remember I had told you that in one of our Facebook chat groups,
Yep.
is that this team is either going to go all out and we're going to win 11 games, or we're going to be like a 3-win team, and there's just no in between. And it's which way are we headed here, folks? Yeah.
So here's my prediction on it. So I'm just going to take the season as it has came. Overall, the Vikings are okay. Now, the record should be better than this, but we've only played 4 games. So I'm just going to say this. The Atlanta game is exactly how you want it to be. Is it realistic? No. But you want to dominate in all 3 phases. And the weird thing is, I think between DiFilippo and now Stefanski is Kirk was more confident last year because he threw the ball a lot, but he was getting murdered a lot by the line being crappy. And Cook didn't get his chance to play as well as he could. So we're playing almost a completely different style. The second game we should have won. Kirk is a bozo and throws an interception. Otherwise, we're 2-0. I forget who we even played the third game, but we beat them pretty handily. The Raiders. We played the Raiders. We beat them great. So we're doing great all to that point. The Bears usually have our number in Chicago. We all know that if you followed the team for a while. But the thing that I can't get over is we go into these games and we piss the bed when we shouldn't against good teams. And you're only going to see good teams in the postseason. So even if we make the postseason, we're going to exit in the first round or the first time we play a game. But the thing that I'm hearing most of all, and I want your guys' thoughts on this because I haven't paid this much attention to it, but I'm hearing from Chris Sims, I'm hearing from Pat McAfee, I'm hearing on Dan Le Batard, I'm hearing all these.
Listen to that. I heard that Chris Sims clip that you're going to talk about too.
He's saying that the Vikings passing offense is just so stupid generic. He said the stuff that he's seen 1/4 of the way through the season with Stefanski is stuff you would do like 3 days into training camp. There's nothing special about it, and it's super predictable. Is this another failed coaching hire under Rick Spielman? Are you fucking kidding me right now?
I don't know. I almost refuse to believe that because Stefanski's been with the organization for a long time now. He's been here for a long time, and they brought in Gary Kubiak, who is a seasoned coach, respected coach. He's been at this for a long time in the league to kind of oversee the operation a little bit to make sure it's going on. So they have people in place who are tenured. We've got talent on this team. I don't understand what the problem is unless we really just place all the blame on Kirk Cousins, which is sort of fair as he's the guy pulling the trigger. I don't remember if I sent you the video or not, but there was a really good breakdown on Twitter of a play where Diggs breaks open going deep and Kyle Rudolph breaks open going across the middle of the field, and he just doesn't pull the trigger on either of them and hits a check down to the running back instead. Now that's one play. Every quarterback is going to make mistakes on the field. Even Tom Brady occasionally is going to make mistakes like that. The problem is that Kirk Cousins, this has always been my take on Kirk Cousins, is that he has always been too afraid to pull the trigger and play a little bit of backyard football at the appropriate times. You know how Brett Favre would just be like, fuck it, and just improv a little bit and make a play? Yep. That's not Kirk Cousins. He wants to stand in the pocket. He wants to go through every single progression, make a perfect throw every single time. And to be a successful quarterback, you got to have a little bit of that Brett Favre in you, where you can just you just got to trust Adam Thielen or Stefon Diggs, and you just want to make a throw out there, make a play on the field. And the times that he does do that seem to be at the worst possible times, when he throws that interception against Green Bay.
Yeah, I think the
That.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think your thing froze up just a tad. I think I think the thing that bothers me the most is there's just this clutch factor that you have to have. There's this moxie that you need to have, as they say, that moment where you know you have to man up and you know it's going to be this is the game, whatever. I've never seen Kirk Cousins thrive in that. That is his mortal enemy. And I tell all my friends, and I shout out to my friend James Hart from Burn Halo, good band that I love. I should say 18 Visions because that's the first band that he got big with, and he's back with him now. I'm a huge fan of their music, and he's a good friend of mine. He's a diehard Bears fan. So it's always cool to have like a rock star friend, but we don't talk about anything but football. It's strictly football. And he texted me before the game and said, "Hey, congrats on the W today. We got all these people out." And I was like, Vikings will find a way to lose it. And I told him that I was like, if it's Kirk Cousins away and he's not at home, the opponent is over 500 and he has to make a clutch play. Those are three. I would bet my mortgage if I owned a home that he's going to lose this game because those are the things that always kill him. And I'm a big believer in stats. I'm a big believer in looking at history repeating itself, just like the Patriots. I'll never bet on the Patriots in the Super Bowl to lose. Now, they've lost 3, but they've also won 6. You go with the sure thing, and he, for sure, he's just not clutch. He's never been clutch, and it leaves question here. Now, let's round out this Diggs conversation, and we can ask. And I'll get to you guys stuff in the chat here because I'm still messing with this here whole overlay thing. But Sean Reynolds says he's seeing ghosts. Yeah, he is. And you know what else he does a lot besides seeing ghosts and check down Charlie? He fumbles the damn ball every single game. And you're almost good for an interception every game. How are you supposed to win football games like that? I can't get with it, man. I just don't. I don't get it.
I know there's going to be listeners of the show who will say, well, you two were big supporters of signing Kirk Cousins. How come you're turning on him now? To which I kind of wanted to address that and say that as Vikings fans, we were hoping that you would be able to put Kirk Cousins on this team with the talent that we have surrounding him and to be able to bring the best out of him and to get the best version of Kirk Cousins on the field, and he would be able to overcome some of these issues. So far through a season and 4 games that he's been with us.
20 games with us.
Yeah, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing him make that progression with Minnesota. And that's what's frustrating. And I really question I've heard because I love listening to former players, especially like Hall of Fame players talk, guys like Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
Because when they talk about like the locker room, like being in an NFL locker room and what players look for, it's like, okay, that holds some weight because you're looking at a player who's in the Hall of Fame. Like they know a thing or two about the NFL locker room. And they talk about how talent recognizes talent on the field. And they know which players are the most talented on the team and which ones they want to go to battle with. And I don't know whether or not you look at some of our star players, your Adam Thielens, your Stefon Diggs, as to whether or not they believe in Kirk Cousins at this point. I'm really beginning to think that this team, that there are players on this team, probably rightfully so, who don't believe Kirk Cousins can get this done.
I mean, that's 100% correct. I agree with everything you said. And it goes back to the point I was trying to say earlier is when you start doing this over and over and you hear the apologies over and over again, at some point you cry wolf and you don't believe it. And I just don't understand it, man. I really don't. I'm over it. And with the Stefon Diggs stuff, I think, number one, I think the locker room is going to be lost if it hasn't been already, because when you have a split, then you have to choose sides, and then you're not working together, and that's not how any of this stuff works. That's not how New England works. That's not how any of this stuff goes down up there, and that's a lot of winning up there. Are you done, bro? You wanted to make a lot of noise while we're recording? My dog put back everyone. The other point is with Stefon Diggs is, you know, if you guys haven't heard, there's been a lot of rumors of him going to New England. He even addressed it today in the media. He said there are truth to all rumors. The dude wants out of here. That means something's gone horribly wrong, which is crazy Because under Mike Zimmer, I never would have predicted any of this drama crap would have happened. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if New England gets him, we're going to get hosed on that deal in some way, shape, or form because they never give up anything for anyone. So
this is a very dangerous road Minnesota is heading down.
Absolutely.
Because if they were to trade Stefon Diggs, you're trading a star player who is a damn good player for this team, who's a fan favorite player for this team. On top of that, after that miracle play, you were essentially saying that this is Kirk Cousins. Like, we're on the Kirk Cousins show full time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or not, what I'm trying to say, but it's like you're really like I know we got the fully guaranteed contract and we're stuck with him and we're all eggs in the basket, but if you start just trading away Stefon Diggs, you're really putting even more pressure on Kirk Cousins to perform, and I don't think that's what he needs at this point right now either.
No, and back to what you were saying too, because I'm sure somebody would have called us out at this point on it. Hell yeah, I was on the Kirk Cousins train. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was better than Case Keenum. And to the point and degree, if you take all of Kirk's averages and take out his best season, his worst season, like I always tell you to do. So you got to take away Case's best season, which was in Minnesota, and look at the average. He is a better quarterback than Case. He's got a little stronger of an arm, not as mobile, but overall, he's always been around 16, 17 as far as top 32 quarterbacks of all the starters, right? And that's what we always said. We always found something that wasn't his fault, right? Washington sucks. Washington does suck. Besides the Dolphins, they're the worst team in the league. They're terrible. Their field sucks. Their owner sucks. Their GM's not smart. Jay Gruden is awful. I don't care what anybody says.
Their logo is borderline racist.
What's that?
I said their logo is borderline racist.
Yeah. If you got this show, I love the Dan Le Batard show, right? They call them the Washington football team because they want to change the name. Like, everything about that team is suspect, right?
Yeah.
And they had one season where they went 9-7, which means, or first of all, you're not that good. But secondly, is every other team in the division had some massive injuries or they hadn't got their star players yet, i.e. Philadelphia and Dallas hadn't gotten to where they needed to be yet. But anyways, we always made these excuses, right? Man, if he just had an O-line and a team and a running back and a defense, you have all of that here. Okay, I'll give you somewhat of a pass last year because, technically you had a 500 record. It's your first season. You change OCs. But at some point, the accountability's got to come. I don't know. I just don't understand. He's got to take accountability at some point, and it's on him. The defense can't play offense. You know what I mean? The receivers can't throw themselves the ball. Dalvin Cook's not going to take a direct snap every time. So at some point, you got to step up.
I mean,
I don't get it.
You run out of excuses, and I'm running out of excuses for the guy as well too. And you can make some valid ones about maybe the Vikings' offensive line still isn't where it needs to be. To which I would agree with that statement. I will also say the same thing that I've always said. At some point, not everyone that Aaron Rodgers has played behind for the offensive line have been all Pro Bowl linemen. Yeah. Tom Brady hasn't always played behind an all Pro Bowl offensive line. These guys are able to overcome the issues on their team and succeed. We need Kirk Cousins to so maybe we don't have the greatest offensive line. You still got to fucking get out there and play. Like, you still have to get it done on the field. And it's figure it the fuck out. Like, that is what's frustrating.
Yeah, 100%. We still have 12 more games of this season alone. Now, here's where I want to transition to next is, what do we do going forward? Because no matter what, we're paying the guy this year and next year $28 million a year, right? And in hindsight, after Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott get paid and whoever else, I don't know, I don't think Baker and Lamar are going to get paid that early, but there's going to be two more quarterbacks that are going to make way more money, and they should because they're better. But in hindsight, it's not as bad of a deal money-wise as you thought because all these guys are going to get paid that way. But here's what I have a question for everyone. I really want everybody in the chat.
The fully guaranteed part is kind of what hurts the Kirk Cousins deal, but fair point still.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, because you lose trade value in that because you're stuck. And then the tape's already out there. So you need somebody that's going to overpay for a mediocre quarterback? Probably not. They could just pay for a guy like Jacoby Brissett and save $10 million, and maybe he'll come in with the right coach and be just as good in the win column. I don't know. But what I'm thinking about going forward is, all right, Diggs is obviously wants out. There's tension in the locker room. This is spiraling like an avalanche, snowballing, I should have said, like an avalanche down a road we never thought this team would be possibly headed towards. Here's my question for everyone, including Kyle and in the chat. Do you move on from Kirk Cousins and just cut him and absorb this huge financial loss at some point this season or next year? And if you do say yes to that, here's the question I have going forward. Do you just chuck it in the bucket and say, we're going with Sean Mannion the rest of the year? We're going to cut the season as a loss. At what point? Because I could see that happening about the end of November, early December. If Cousins is just playing awful, he's going to have to get benched at some point. Now, that opens two doors. One, that means we're going after a quarterback in next year's draft. You have to. Because I don't think the Vikings fan base is going to settle for another who's like Andy Dalton's going to be out of Cincinnati. If we signed Andy Dalton or somebody like that, they're going to burn that new stadium to the ground. So you got to go draft
Flacco.
Yeah, you got to go draft a young guy who's cheap and go forward. And the second option of that is, and I said this all week, the last 2 weeks in our personal podcast chat on Facebook between me, Kyle, Dorian, and Adam. I'm going to say it right here, right now. I don't know how they're going to turn this around. I don't believe that they will. I hope that they do. And everything that I believe in football gods and this team, Kirk Cousins is going to get Mike Zimmer fired this year, and maybe Rick Spielman too. You heard me say it right here, first and foremost. I think this is Zimmer's last year, and I don't want it to be, and I don't fully blame him. I blame Kirk Cousins, and I think he's going to get his ass fired. I truly believe it.
I don't think that they bench Cousins at any point. Like, even if we're like, oh, it's a point where we're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, I think they still keep playing him just because you kind of have to. I don't know how it works. I don't know if in the off season, if they were able to like trade him to another team, if another team would be able to pick up the contract, or like way forward thinking on that kind of stuff. I also don't know what fucking team would, if it doesn't work with Minnesota with this group of talent that he has around him right now. What are the Miami Dolphins going to be like? Yeah, come to our shit team. We've got less talent than what the Vikings have at the skill position. Like, why would any team? Why would they do that? Don't make no sense. I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting moving forward as to what this team does at the quarterback position. I do think, regardless of how he performs, they have to look at drafting a quarterback next year, because even if, say, we sneak into the wild card this season, you're still looking at whether or not you want to lock Kirk up longer than his current contract. You probably don't, so you're going to need another quarterback anyway.
There's no way he gets another chance with this team. And even what you were saying now, I'm not taking this out on you at all, because you're my homeboy, but you said maybe we'll sneak in as a wild card. When that came out of your mouth, there's not 1% of my body that thought that was a possibility. This team's just not good enough when he plays quarterback at it. And it pisses me off that I drank the Kool-Aid. And you know what? We do that as fans for this team. Maybe Adam was the one who was most like level-headed about it to start. But we're like, okay, we're not going to overpay for Case Keenum. Maybe he was just a product of Pat Shurmur and the system, which I think that he was. Teddy and his knee, and he hasn't been the same. He's thriving in New Orleans right now, but that's a lot of coaching that's making him win. So you're like, cool, Kirk Cousins coming. You're buying into the hype. You're buying into he's got the keys to a Lamborghini. He's just got to drive it. The dude's on the edge of a cliff going 100 miles an hour right now, and it's about to fall off.
Here's the thing, though, man. If they win, if you beat the Giants, and if you connect on a couple deep passes to Thielen, you connect to a couple to Diggs, this conversation goes away for one more week. And this is going to be the story for the rest of the season. Like, oh, we beat the Giants. Everyone gets happy. The conversation goes away. We take a stupid loss. This conversation comes back. So it's really all dependent on what this team does moving forward. They string together a couple wins, and this drama goes away. You kick the can down the what's the expression? You kick the can down the road, and you deal with it later on. I think that's what can happen. If they lose, you have to deal with a lot of these issues right now.
Here's the problem with that. I want to believe that's possible, right? But I'm going to tell you, and I got to get to Sean Reynolds in the chat because he said something hilarious. So first of all, I just got to take some other aggression out. I'm still in the Air Force in the reserve. I just got to say thank you again, Air Force, for ruining my fucking life. I have drill this weekend in Massachusetts. I live in Long Island, New York now. They're playing the Giants in New York Sunday. I could have went to this game, but I have fucking drill this weekend. So there's that.
That's fantastic.
Every time, man. It just push it in there a little bit farther, man. Don't spit on it.
Can't you call in sick? I don't know how that works.
For the reserve, I can miss some, but I didn't go in September because I was moving all over the country every weekend.
Right, I get it.
I wish, man. I would have gotten nosebleeds to go to this game. I would have spent all my money there. But anyways, the Giants are on a 2-game win streak. They have a young quarterback. They don't have Eli Manning that we were guaranteed a win with the last 5 years playing him. We have Daniel Jones, and he looks competent. Saquon Barkley's probably going to play Sunday. We're on the road. This is not a give-me game like I penciled it in earlier in the year.
No, it's really not. Especially now where we're back to the Vikings of old, where you have this black cloud of drama hanging over top of the team right now too. It's like, oh, so we got the team. We got to prepare for the Giants, and now we have everyone's fucking dicks out on the table that we have to appease as well too. And so if Thielen has a better game than Diggs, is that going to piss Diggs off?
If he's even on the team, man. I could very well see him getting traded tomorrow.
Don't say that. I'll be fucking.
I mean, at this point, it's just that gut feeling. We've been here before, man.
I know.
We've seen this story before. For some reason, we bought into like the every other year thing. We'll go to the playoffs, and it's just not happening now. But going back to the schedule, we're at the Giants this weekend. Next weekend, we host the Eagles. You think that's going to be an easy game? Hell no. That's not going to be an easy game. The next weekend after that, we're going on the road to the Lions, another divisional game. The Lions should have beat the Chiefs last weekend, and we're on the road there.
I thought the Lions were going to be shit. They actually are.
They're playing great football right now.
Yeah, they're playing good football right now.
Great, and I can't believe I just said that. The only thing coming up that I like is October 24th. We're at home playing the Redskins. We will win that game. I'll be confident to say that.
But we could have a 3-game slide before we get to the Washington fucking Redskins.
Then
this locker room is. I don't know if they can survive a 3-game slide.
They can't. You can't. You absolutely can't. And that's the worst part of it. And here comes the gauntlet after that. So we could potentially go the month of October 1-3. Here comes another awful, awful month. November 3rd at the Kansas City Chiefs. You're not winning that game. Next weekend, November 10th at the Cowboys. Hard pressed to say we're going to win that game. It's doable.
You could pull it out.
Doable more than the Chiefs, but possible possible 2 losses there. You're at home against the Broncos. They're not going to roll over, and they'll be tough, but I think we'll win that game. Then after the bye, first week in December, we go to Seattle. You think we're winning that game? Hell no, we're not winning that game. It's just I've seen this happen so often. And if I've counted that right, that's 2, maybe 3 wins on top of the 2 that we have now. So we'll just say that's at 5. You come to the last part of the year. Lions, Chargers, Packers, Bears. If you string together 4 miraculous wins there, you're 9-7. I don't see it, man. I don't see it based on what we're seeing right now and all the drama and all the what ifs with this team right now. Because every direction that we talk about with drama, with Cousins, with coaching, it's every door is a bad door. There's not like, well, here's the upside. There's no upside. And I know Ryan mentioned it earlier in the chat. He's like, well, we went 2-2 before, and then we went 3-13. There's a lot of luck that happened there, man. I don't feel that luck this year. I don't feel that spark. I just don't see it happening. And what's crazy is we got the players to do it. We got Kubiak to help Dalvin Cook run all over the whole NFL. I don't feel it, man. I got a bad feeling about this.
I was thinking a little bit more about Stefon Diggs too, and the potential of trading him. And see, I think the difference between like him and like a Percy Harvin is that there was a lot more drama involved with Percy, where he was like throwing weights at coaches and doing all kinds of stupid shit like that. That, to the best of my knowledge, you really don't have with Diggs. He can be a little bit of a drama, but to be fair, most wide receivers are a little bit of a diva.
He's like a diet diva. He's not really a diva. Between him and Thielen, he's definitely the diva of the 2, but it's never been any distraction.
But the thing with Percy though is that there was a lot of shit going on behind the scenes with Percy, where it was like, okay, I can understand why the team was ready to pull the trigger with that one. Diggs, and like you said, it's diet drama. There's a little bit that comes with most wide receivers. You're going to be hard pressed to find another receiver as talented as what Stefon Diggs is that isn't going to come with a little bit of that diva attitude with him. So what are we doing? Who are we replacing him with? What are we doing?
We already don't have the depth there. We lost BB.
Yeah.
We have,
These are Thielen and Diggs are as good of a receiver combination as we're going to have, and we're likely going to have probably for a while now. So the idea of splitting them up to appease Captain Caucasian Kirk Cousins is just irritating. It's just irritating to me because he's not the savior of this franchise. He's just not.
I don't think that I don't think it would be to appease Kirk. I think it would be to appease Diggs and to, I don't know. I don't see any way that it would be an offer that would blow you away other than, well, we won't have to absorb that contract anymore. But we're not going to get anything more than like a 3rd round for him. That's all the Patriots would offer. They're not going to offer you something great. They're too smart. So for me there, I don't understand like what the motive would be. You're right. And back to your point, we had to re-sign Treadwell because we don't have any depth at wide receiver. If you think the team's doing bad now, get rid of Diggs. We're going to be even more one-dimensional because they'll double team Adam Thielen, and then we're just so screwed after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good stuff.
I read one more thing, and then you can get to the chat here.
Oh, no worries.
I was reading an interesting comment that was like, we seem to really lack like leaders in the locker room right now. Like, we lack a Chad Greenway. We lack a Brian Robinson. We lack those guys who can be like, hey, come over here, talk this shit out right now in the locker room. We figured this shit out right here, and it doesn't go beyond these doors. That is what someone like a Chad Greenway or a Brian Robinson, or a Jared Allen, that's what these guys bring to the team. And I look at this team right now and I go, who are those players? Harrison Smith,
Yeah.
he potentially, but he also seems really quiet. I mean, we don't know any of these players personally, but Harrison seems really quiet. I don't see him being that guy to be like, hey, you and you figure this shit. We're gonna talk this shit out. We're gonna figure this out right now. I don't see Harrison being that guy. I don't see Everson is a leader, but I don't see like an Everson Griffin doing that. I don't see Xavier Rhodes doing that. I don't see Diggs. I don't see Kirk Cousins being that guy. Like I don't know who our leaders in this locker room are right now.
It's true. Hey, there's an interesting one here. South Star. You got to tell me what your real name is, man, if you don't mind, unless it's some secret squirrel stuff and you don't need me to know. But yeah, he makes a good point. He's like, worry about the future. He said the Vikings are in rebuild mode here in the chat. To the Jags, build for the future. Dude, straight up, I would take Jalen Ramsey or Stefon Diggs and maybe like another player or a small pick. That I would be super happy about because Jalen Ramsey still wants to be traded. Stefon Diggs wants to be traded. And then that'll be the talk of the freaking century. Gardner Minshew and Stefon Diggs. That'd be a crazy connection. But I didn't even think about the Jags. So that's a cool point that you made. But that'd be the only scenario. But yeah, you're right, man. I don't know. I just don't understand how it would help the team out now. And then every one of the critics that were saying we're going to regress from last year and Kirk Cousins is the answer. I hate that they were right because I didn't see it and I didn't understand it at all. But if that's the way it happens, they were 100% right before the season started.
Hey man, we're fans. We're Vikings fans, even though I'm wearing Cardinal shit right now. Like we're Vikings fans. We drink the Kool-Aid. Like that's what we're supposed to believe that our team can do this shit until they prove otherwise. And right now they're unfortunately proving otherwise at the moment. But like we will never apologize for being fans on this show. That's what we are.
I know, man. I just want to be right. I want to pick the perfect record, get everything right, be to the number on stats and everything. But man, this is such a wild.
This is not the conversation that we wanted to be having right now. We wanted to be talking about how we broke the curse. We steamrolled Chicago in Chicago for the first time since George Bush was president. I don't know how long it's been since we've consistently won in Chicago, but I mean that's what we want to be talking about right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how it's going, and I wish that it was. But yeah, so there's a lot of drama going on. We wanted to address it, and we wanted to make sure that we could get all that out there. Now there's drama in the locker room. There seems to be a divide. I feel like we're just holding the hinges on, hoping that the doors don't fall off at this point. And it seems like it's very, very close to it being that. Now, the Vikings could very well go into New York Sunday and beat the shit out of the Giants and be like, okay, cool. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they just got to figure it out. But truthfully, when you come into October, you should start to get a feel for what your team is. I do see the passing game being one-dimensional. I do see the running game being kind of predictable just because like back in the day when we had Peterson, where it's going. And you just got to, block these schemes, and then you're going to make Kirk throw the ball, and he's not going to be comfortable. So I hope that it happens. I hope that we figure out a rhythm. But there's a lot of drama I do not like around this team right now. I hope Stefon Diggs stays with the team, and God, I hope we figure something out. Because if not, this is going to be a long, long, awful season.
Maybe this is my purple Kool-Aid that I'm drinking right now. I really firmly believe that we're not going to trade Stefon Diggs. I don't think that's happening this season. If everything goes really south and we hit the off season and we're talking about changing coaches, changing general managers, everything is on the table at that point. But I don't think that Diggs is going to be traded during this season. The Vikings are riding this shitstorm until we're only 3 wins into this at the end of the year, or we somehow find success. Like we are riding this out. That's just what I see happening.
Yeah.
I don't think there will be. There's not going to be we get rid of Mike Zimmer at the bye week or trades or some miraculous thing with Kurt. Like, I don't think any of that's going to happen this year. I think we're going through this year with the coaches and the talent we have, and then whatever happens in the offseason happens in the offseason.
So I'm trying to get to everybody in the chat here. Focusing on the Giants game. I'm hearing things. I know you guys are hearing the same things too. I'm talking about it, but I saw Saquon Barkley running around making cuts, and it's his second day of running after a high ankle sprain. He was only out a week. So if he practices tomorrow and rests on Saturday, I don't think he'd be at 100%, but I could see him. He's a freak, man. He's just like Adrian Peterson as far as like physically just a monster. So I don't know if he's going to play, but I saw videos of him today running around making cuts and like, I thought you sprained your ankle last Sunday. So whatever. He's a robot. Go figure.
Yeah.
He's a horse in football pads. That's what he is. But yeah, sorry. We apologize again, man. Sorry for the F-bombs and whatnot. This thing, you know how it goes when we're on the show. It goes off the rails a little bit, but this is a drama-filled week. I am hoping and praying that we can get back on a schedule of some sort where it's right after the game. So we're sorry I'm doing these game reviews a little bit later. I'm finally in place to be able to do that, so maybe we can get a little bit closer with it. But, yeah, the Bears game was a mess. There's a lot of drama, but we have the Giants Sunday. It's a winnable game. The downside is there's the drama I mentioned. The other downside is their head coach knows this team pretty good. He did have a whole year away, but all in all, he knows the team kind of well. So I'm interested to see how the horrible Giants defense prepares for us, because their defense is pretty bad. They got an exciting young quarterback. I know everybody in New York up here they're buzzing about him, but this is a winnable game. So if you want to just take all that vent session we just had, that therapy session we just had live here on YouTube for everybody, just put it out. Hey, let's just focus on getting through this week. Just focus on the Giants, man. This is a winnable game. So what do you think, man? What are your feelings on Sunday? You think we'll go in there and squeak out a win and try to get the ship back aboard the right track, you know?
It's so tough to predict what this team is going to do, because I can see it going both ways. I think, even though everything we just said, this is as winnable of a game as the Vikings are going to have. I do think that they can squeak out a win over the Giants, and that will help quiet some of the tension a little bit, at least for the interim, at least for the following week. With that said, Daniel Jones seems to have sparked the Giants' offense. So you never know. It's going to be probably closer than what we would like to admit. But I do think the Vikings will pick up the win.
You heard it here first. He's making the ball.
Or it's going to be a Josh Freeman performance where he throws the ball like 50 times a game, and they're just errant passes everywhere.
You guys remember? You guys see recently? You guys remember, like, not too long ago, it was Fergie. She sang the national anthem, and it was one of those. It was just like, you're like, what are you doing? Isn't that crazy that the Vikings did that one night in primetime football with a quarterback? Of course it was this team. Why wouldn't it be? Oh.
Here's our quarterback who was struggling on his previous team, lost all his confidence from the previous team, who just got here, barely knows the playbook, just throw up every single time. Just go throw it.
You know what's nuts too? You remember that worked, and then they did it again, but with Bradford it actually worked, which was I was so banking on that season. We started out 5-0 and ended up 8-8. I was so banking. I was like, Sam Bradford's going to throw the game-losing interception. Jesus Christ. He comes out and outplays Aaron Rodgers for what he's good for one game, man. He's like a relief pitcher for the Yankees. I just need you for one inning, dude. That's all I need. He's like, I'll throw the old cobwebs off. Just don't let me get sacked. I'll tear my ACL again, you know?
That's what we need to do. Okay, so now you got this figured out. So Sam Bradford is good for one game. So bring him back. That's one win. Bring Case Keenum in. Case Keenum can win you one game. So then that's 2 wins. And then who else is out there? Who else can win us like one game? Like Fitzpatrick? We can get some Fitz magic in Minnesota. He can connect.
If we brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick, the deep ball would definitely be there.
Yeah. So he can connect with Thielen and Diggs for one game. So that's 3 wins.
We're just going to Frankenstein this season and just get a quarterback every week until the trade deadline.
Brad Johnson's got to be out there somewhere.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I think I'm done for the night, man. I'm way past my bedtime, and it is it's getting late here. But if you got nothing else, man, we'll do some plugs, and we'll wrap this up.
No, I'm good. I'll let you do the plugs, and we can end this show.
All right, cool. So first thing we want to talk about is the Survival League right here. So if you're in our Survival League, it should give you a reminder on Wednesdays. I don't think it was today. It was yesterday. So give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Make sure you put your picks in. And, but like I said earlier, if you're not a part of the Survival League, we'll get you next season. But it's a cool little thing we do each year, and it's totally free for you to sign up. And if you win, you get a bunch of cool shit that we all pitch in to buy and ship to you for free. It's just our way of saying thank you for the comment section here and all the love that you guys show us and interaction, because we're just a bunch of idiots talking out here. So we appreciate you. Secondly, our other host, Adam Carlson, works for this site, The Viking Age. We get a lot of good content from there, and we get a lot of good stats, info, stories, rumors, you name it. I'm biased because Adam's my friend and Kyle's friend, but I think Adam's the best writer there. I think he's fair. I think he puts out interesting concepts that'll challenge you, but also he's not going to bore you to death with those Skip Bayless type of, I'm just going to say stuff to get clicks. He's an honest writer, and I really appreciate that about him. So if you go to The Viking Age right here below, find an article or two that Adam Carlson wrote, and you go down there and just interact with a comment and post it. His numbers will go up, and you help pay his rent. So we really appreciate Adam. Can't wait to get him back for the show. He had some plans this week, I think he said with family. So hope you're having a good time, man. We got the show for you. Last but not least, Phantasm Digital for Mr. Kyle West right there. We have podcast merchandise. If you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Purple People Podcast, we pinned it at the top of the site. You can get Purple People Podcast merchandise, and you can get Purple People Podcast sweatshirts and tank tops, regular T-shirts, stuff for your babies. We have infant clothes at Purple People Podcast. So if you want to be that cool, I think to entice it a little bit more, I think I said something about this last week on an episode. I'll do it again this week too. If you end up buying Purple People Podcast merch and you send us a picture of you wearing it, we'll post it to the podcast page on Facebook. We'll send you a little something cool for helping us out. Now, obviously, if there's 30 of you that do that, I'll say thank you, and I can't get to everybody. But if somebody sends me a picture of them in a Purple People Podcast shirt, we'll try to send you something small, something cool, maybe like a trading card or something like that you can't really find anywhere else. Find something cool to send you that's Vikings related. So go buy yourself a Purple People Podcast memorabilia item, clothing, whatever you want to put on there. You can put it on anything, honestly.
You can get it you got a phone case. You can get it put on anything.
Hell yeah. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I'm going to go through here real quick and say hello, and then we'll end the show. Paul Gruber started in at first. Really appreciate him. Sean Reynolds, Ryan Denny's, Jay Hott, the resident Eagles fan. Thank you so much, man. We had South Star checking in with us. Sergio finally got back too. Thank God he got to come around. He was very excited. He said that he was working nights, working the graveyard shift, so he can't really catch them live, but he got to catch one live. So shout out to all you guys, and thank you for interacting. Thanks for all your takes. I
I love our regulars on the show that we get to see from time to time.
Yeah,
in the chat
absolutely.
room. That's super cool for us. It really, I know everyone says that, but it is really cool that we have regular listeners to the show, and we love it.
Yeah, for sure. You guys make it fun, and then all that stuff
Thank you.
you're bringing up, we'll talk about it here on the show, and you will actually contribute to the show. I tried to keep the episode number down here the whole time. I kind of like the comments a little bit more. I like the comments a little bit more. I'm going to start the show and keep it this way, and we'll try to rotate back and forth. We'll try not to confuse everybody, but we just want to say thank you to everybody as usual. Thanks for chiming in. God, we've got close to 60 comments going through here at 10 o'clock at night. So we appreciate you guys.
With football going on too.
What's that?
I said with football going on in the background.
I know, man. This is such a good game, and I didn't get to watch it, but I'm just too tired. I'm not going to be able to stay up for it. But yeah, you chose to hang out with us, so we really appreciate it. Yeah, check out all the stuff we talked about, the Viking Age. Update your Survival League if you're with us. Check out the Facebook page and buy some stuff from Purple People Podcast swag. But until next time, we'll give you a review of the Giants game and going forward with any Vikings news, rumors, all that fun stuff here at the Purple People Podcast. And as Adam Carlson always reminds you, stay classy, Minnesota.